Fights and grudges and concentrate. Come, let us sit and try to relate. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation. I say that is the main foundation. So come, let us work hand in hand, because this is our land. Come, my brother, come, my sister, and let us build a nation together. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Come, my brother, come, my sister. Let us build Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique together. We are maturing as a nation. 50 years of independence, being a sovereign state, free from colonialism, free from the control of another. We have to understand our role in this democracy, and we must assert ourselves to do good, to do what is right, to make this place a better one. I want to encourage those on Facebook and YouTube to please share the live. Sharing is caring. More you share, more people will discover the program. That's how it works. If it pops up on my page, I might be curious enough to listen. I want to find out what is being discussed. And if I like it, then I would follow the page, I would subscribe to the channel, and I would always listen in. I want to start off this morning by saying to you, those on the other side, they're fighting for something to talk about, fighting for something that the nation would be angry about, aggrieved about, vexed about. And the desperation is causing a lot of uneasiness when it comes to the public service, when it comes to public servants doing their job with a level of professionalism, a level of sincerity, honesty. In other words, a public officer should never be so driven to leak confidential documents from government. That should never, ever happen. So to leak confidential information because you are a supporter of a particular political party and the party in power you're not affiliated with, or you dislike someone there, or you will like to see them out and your party in, although you're a public servant, that should not drive you to take confidential information and leak it to the opposition forces or the obstructionist team. But not only that, some of these people are leaking confidential information with the hope that it would stick, with the hope that the government will look bad, with the hope that the NDC will look bad. Not even reasoning it through, not even saying, but wait, under the NNP, you had a leader and prime minister, and you had his son as an advisor, a paid advisor of government. So under the NNP, you had a prime minister, you had a leader or ruler who was in government, and his son was appointed an advisor to the Ministry of Finance. But I didn't see his contractual agreement in the public domain during the NNP time. So to come now and leak the information of a government minister, a significant other being employed with government, it's just a laugh. It's a big laugh because the precedence has been set under the NNP administration. And not only that, if the person is duly qualified for a particular job, why should that individual be denied that opportunity? So sometimes those who want to make the government look bad would do things without even thinking, because you are a Grenadian. And that is why I said when they came out and started attacking the Honorable Andy Williams for getting a loan in a bank, in the Grenada Development Bank, I said, but wait, he is a Grenadian. And to get a loan, you have to meet certain criterion or certain, requirements. You must meet that. And the mere fact that it's a loan, it means that he has to repay. He's not getting free money, because the NNP gave Grenadians this false idea that he was getting free money. No. And when we unearthed the truth regarding the first loan, we realized it was given under the NNP administration. And because they thought Andy was on their side, and because they wanted him to actually be on their side, so they thought he was on their side, and they wanted him to be on their side, and they realized he was not coming on their side. He didn't want to be associated with them. Then they had a problem. Then they had an issue. So I am saying sometimes they leak stuff, they put stuff out in the public with the hope that it would stir conversation. It would cause Grenadians to think differently about this government. And it's not working, because our people are so knowledgeable now. And we have the internet at our fingertip. We can access information quite easily. Before time, we had this big phone book. If you want to call somebody, you go in the phone book and you get their number and you call. But right now, all you need to do is to just search the person's name online, and the yellow page will just bring it up, right? You would get the number, any business place, now for now. If you want to know certain things, it's just to search it online, and you get that information within very, very short order. So we are more aware of what's going down, even if we're consuming information in little snippets, little drips, as one would say, because a lot of our people don't have time to sit and follow programs for more than an hour, more than 5 minutes, more than 2 minutes, more than 3 minutes, unless they are interested in it. That is why if you check certain programs, they have not had a jolt in listenership or viewership for a long time. You just look at some of those programs, and I could call some names, but I would not go there I'm simply saying there's a level of consistency with the viewership on a more long-term basis. So you having a program, a podcast on social media / radio, you would see a consistent number of people viewing you for months and months and months, unless something dramatic happened. But you would have 4, 5, 600 people viewing. And then after a day or two, you go and you check the numbers of people who viewed. You might see 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people. And then if you go deeper to get the insight, the real statistics of the people who viewed, you would see how many people viewed for 30 seconds, 15 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You would see where they viewed from, whether it's the United States and where in the United States, whether it's Canada and where in Canada, whether it's the United Kingdom and where, whether it's anywhere in the Caribbean and where in Grenada, where, which parish. That is the kind of insight you will get. So people are consuming information differently and they're doing it in drips. But I'm simply saying all of this to tell you that the NNP cannot fool the masses anymore. We are not living in the dark period. We're not living in 1310. We are in 2023. And information is at our disposal. The minute time the NNP put out something so as to smear or to distort, to distract, to fool the Grenadian people, I would then do my research. I will then start doing my research to get the information as required. That is why I was able to say to you when they were pouncing on the Ministry of Health as it relates to the community mental health nurses. And I was able to say to you, a memo was sent to the union. And in that memo, it said, we will include the community mental health nurses as designated traveling officers for the next budget cycle. So now they are doing the budget, consultation and so on. So 2024, they will be included. And that was the gripe that they had. And a plan with either the GCL or Flow will be had for them so that they can get that cell phone or the credit to do their work. Basic. Sometimes we have to learn to resolve conflicts instead of making it escalate to a point where, it becomes a sideshow. So it's easy to get information, to provide it to the public so that you can be clearer on issues. When it comes to the housing matter, the NNP is out there every day talking about this housing, low-income houses. But do you know, the people who are selected to purchase these apartments, they don't have a problem? Amazingly, the people who are selected for phase two of this distribution, they don't have a problem. But the people who have a problem are those who are politically involved, they're political activists, they're surrogates, they're pundits, and they're pushing a specific agenda. They want the government to look bad. As a result, they call programs and they push all these falsehoods. And what I did was provide you with the facts, because the facts are actually out there. You heard the chairman of the Housing Authority. He spoke at length. You heard the accountant in there speaking at length. You heard the acting general manager speaking about the situation. So the information is out there. But the NNP, what they do is cherry pick from the table with all the information. They cherry pick what they want to publish so as to make the government look bad. But they have not succeeded to date, because Grenadians now know that these houses or apartments, they were low income. They were built and they're low income apartments. So you have to have an income to qualify for an apartment, 1 bedroom or two bedrooms. You have to show that you have an income to get one of the apartments. Not only that, the housing authority got beaten with their own belt when, under the NNP administration, they gave the first phase of apartments out. They distributed the first phase of apartments under the NNP. But when they distributed the apartments, the people were given a letter stating that they have to pay the housing authority $30-something thousand, $40-something thousand for the apartment. Right? So the apartments, there was a cost to it. They did not give them free. There was a cost to the apartments. And they signed an agreement with housing authority to pay $175 a month, to pay $200 a month, to pay $250 a month, to pay $300 a month. In other words, they sign a gentleman's agreement that they will come in every month and pay. There was no interest added, no arrears, no nothing. What their letter said they have to pay is what housing was collecting. Nothing extra. But because their government or party was in power, the NNP, because the majority of these people who occupy the apartments at Dabo / Mount Rush, Soubise, and Frequenty, they're NNP supporters, because the NNP call these people poor and vulnerable. Every time they open their mouth, they're talking about the poor and the vulnerable, they're supporters. So they had to go into housing every month and pay. They paid for the first month $175 or $200 or $250 or $350 or whatever they agreed to. They paid the second month, they paid the third month, they paid the fourth month, they paid the fifth month, they paid the sixth month. And then they just stopped. They stopped pay. They stopped pay housing authority because the government in power, the party in power, and they were taught that way. But not only that, they did not give them the houses free. That is something that you need to recognize. The NNP did not distribute the houses freely. There was a cost to it. But they were low-income houses. And these people did not have an income. A lot of them were not working because they call them the poor and the vulnerable. So they were not employed. With the housing authority now trying to collect their money, they were not collecting it. They were not getting it from these people. But housing authority still has to maintain the facility, just like the new facilities. They have to provide security for a period of time. They have to do the landscaping. They have to set up a homeowners association. They are responsible for repairs over a specific period of time, plumbing, electrical, the doors, the windows. So housing authority has that obligation. But if you're not paying, then how would they then be able to properly repair the facilities or maintain the facility? So in Dabo Montrush housing scheme, Subi's housing scheme, Frequente housing scheme, the property start running down because there are some apartments leaking, there are some need replacement for the windows and doors, bulbs, fittings, switch damage, right? Walls need painting, they need treatment to remove the molds and so on, the railings damage, and we can go on and on and on. So they need to repair it, they need to fix it. So housing authority has to get $2.2 million to fix those housing schemes where you have $4.9 million not paid by the occupants of the different apartments. They were found delinquent, not paying what they agreed to pay housing authority. So housing authority, now they have some apartments to distribute in some of the housing schemes. So they decided, no, we're not going to get caught again. So you are responsible, if you want to own that apartment, to go to a lending institution, a financial institution, and get a loan or get the money. Because sometimes you have the money there. Get the money and come and buy the apartment. Buy it. So you have ownership. It's yours. And then pay the bank back every month. Because if you have a obligation with the bank, you would make sure and pay every month. Or else the bank will come and take that property and sell it to make their money. So you're going to prioritize, you're going to make sure that you pay. But housing authority, if you have to pay them and you don't pay, then it's all a drawn out situation, and especially if you're party in power, they might be afraid to touch that issue. So housing authority announced and said, you have to go to that financial institution, get a loan, come and pay. And there they went on to say further, the one-bedroom apartment cost $104,000 in reality. The actual cost of that apartment is $104,000. But we are selling it to you for $55,000. Easy. Yes, we know the actual cost of that apartment is $104,000, but we are selling it because it's low income. We are selling it to you for $55,000. That's a great deal. But not only that, the two-bedroom apartment cost in reality about $200,000. In reality, the actual cost is about $200,000. But they're selling it to you for $73,000. That's a massive reduction, a massive deal. And that is why I said low income really means from 0 to 100,000 when you're talking house. Low income house or houses or apartments. It means from 0, right, or from $1 to $100,000, because You cannot, in this day and age, take 55,000 EC and build a one-bedroom apartment, concrete apartment. It would not happen. When you factor in labor, when you factor in the cost of materials, when you factor in some instances, you have to buy the land, right? Much less to talk about a two-bedroom house. You can't take $73,000 and build a two-bedroom house. It would not happen. It's not enough. You have to get way more than that. So I am saying this is a very good deal for the low-income earners in the country. And yes, the NNPs out there saying, give it to the poor and the vulnerable. Well, the poor and the vulnerable don't have an income. It's a low-income housing project. Low-income houses, low-income apartments. So the poor and the vulnerable don't have that. And I went further to say to you, the poor relief assistance is given to the poor and the vulnerable in Grenada. And that's a good indicator. That's a good place to start to understand what the poor is collecting in Grenada. So you have $300 given to the poor and the vulnerable every month. So a number of them will collect that money. You have 365 days in a year. So every month they collect 300. So at the end of the year, the 12 months, they would collect about $3,600. In total, that's the poor and the vulnerable, $3,600. But if you break that down by a daily amount, how much they're getting per day, you're looking at under $10. It's about $8 and cents, $9 and cents, around there. So they're actually getting per day under $10 to live by, to survive by. That is what the poor and the vulnerable in Grenada is actually living by. There are other countries around the world where you're considered poor when you're working or collecting or can show that you have under $1 per day or every day. You're considered to be poor. There are some countries where it's under $5 or under $20. So different countries, they would have a different benchmark, a different figure. But in Grenada, you're talking about just a little under 10 EC dollars, 10 EC, right? And that is who the NNP is asking the government to put in those housing schemes. Not only that, the NNP saying, well, we know it would not be free, so charge them between $30,000 and $50,000 for the apartments. But one has to ask, when will they ever finish paying for an apartment costing $30,000 or $40,000 when they only collect under $10 a day and they have to live by that $10? Breakfast, lunch, supper, and bills, and other things. But basically, the bills would be electricity and water. So that's the daily amount from the poor relief assistance. So I am saying to the NNP, what they actually did to the poor and the vulnerable people that they call their supporters, that they put in those housing schemes and gave them a letter stating that they are required to pay 30 something thousand dollars for the apartment or 40 something thousand dollars for the apartment. You have actually put these people in a worse off position than they were before they went into the apartments. Because I can tell you, they were not on the street. They were living somewhere. They were not on the street. Yes, there are some cases where, it was necessary to give some of these people an apartment because of the situation. But the majority of these people were not on the street. They were either living with their mother, their father, friend, or wherever. So I am saying all we need to do is to break this thing down in simple language. See what I just did? I told you the NNP consider their supporters as poor and vulnerable. They're asking the NDC to put them in the apartments because they're poor and they're vulnerable and charge them between $30,000 to $50,000 for the apartments. That is what the NNP is asking for. But in Grenada, the poor relief assistance is given to the poor people in Grenada, the poor and the vulnerable. And they collect on an annual basis per annum $3,600 for the 12 months, $300 per month. So they would collect that. But if you break it down to 365 days in the year to see how much they're actually getting per day, it's under $10, under 10 EC. But these are the people the NNP want NDC to put in those apartments. How will they ever be able to repay the $30,000 or $40,000 or $50,000? It is not possible. So that is why you have in the Mount Rush Dabo housing scheme, that is why you have in the Soubise housing scheme, that is why you have in the Frequente housing scheme so many people unable to pay back housing authority. Remember, they're in arrears of $4.9 million. This is no small money. It's a lot of money, right? So I am saying it is clear that the government must, and housing authority must take stock of what happened in the past. And if you don't believe me when I say to you that the arrears, the delinquents in those housing schemes, they're owing housing authority $4.9 million. That's a lot of money. So let me play that for you because I believe in putting the facts on the table.
Delinquencies, recoveries, and repairs for Phase 1 of the Chinese housing scheme was the topic of discussion at Friday's press conference with the Housing Minister, Honorable Philip Telesford, and the team from the Housing Authority of Grenada. According to the Minister, following a review of the sites, it was noted that $4.9 million is owed by at least 75% of the occupants. Giving more details on the monies owed based on locations was Giselle Charles, accountant at HAG.
The minister briefly told you it was $4.9 million, almost $5 million in arrears. Of that $5 million, we have $2.2 million that is being owed by the Phase 1 unit clients. Phase 1 we refer to as the housing units in Frequente, Monge, and Soubise. These units total 353 in all. So we have $2.2 million outstanding from the 353 units. The remainder of the arrears, $2.7 million, outstanding from the other various housing aspects governed under the Housing Authority. So those are the mortgage and lease clients, the Dunfermline lease to own houses, and the Dunfermline apartments. $2.7 million.
Charles insists that delinquent occupants should contact the Housing Authority if they have trouble meeting their commitments, as they are willing to work with them to review and revise payment plans.
We hope it does not get to sending a final demand notice. We are urging the clients, you know who you are. You know that you are not servicing your loans. You know that you are a resident of the unit. We have been alerted to what the receivables balance is.
Housing Minister Honorable Philip Telesford says measures are being put in place and that the process that was being used cannot work.
And we perceive that the collection process or otherwise the management surrounding the collections of these outstanding amounts have failed. That process cannot work. It hasn't worked and it has failed. Either because there was no political will or either because we simply refused to function as a professional organization.
Right. So you heard it there, $4.9 million. And you know, earlier I said they went in to Housing Authority and had a gentleman's agreement with Housing Authority. I am now learning that they signed a contract to repay. That's phase one. That's under the NNP, you know. The NNP distributed these apartments, phase one apartments, and they gave them a letter with the cost of the apartments. And the occupants, the beneficiaries, they went in and they signed an agreement, a contract to pay, in some instances, $100 and something, $200 and something, $300 and something. And you know what is amazing? I'm now learning that the same amount of money that the phase one clients, those who got the houses under the NNP, the same amount of money they had to pay for their apartment is the same amount of money that is required now for the people who will be getting phase two apartments, right? The same amount of money, amazingly, on a monthly basis, ranging from $240 to $400. The same. What is different, it's not Housing Authority collecting the money on a monthly basis, but instead the bank or the credit union, that financial institution that they will go and take that loan from, or if they have the money cash, then they just buy it cash. You understand what's going on here? So the NNP's out there making a big hullabaloo because they want political mileage, they want to fool the general public. But as you get the information, as the information becomes available or open to the public for scrutiny, you realize it is not that different from what occurred under the NNP. In fact, the only difference is that the apartments are way more improved with cabinets and closets and cupboards and so on, with counters and just name it, with that kind of provision. They've enhanced it. They've improved it. It's more livable. You can live in it on day one because the government saw it fit with Housing Authority to bring it up to that standard where all you need to do is to carry your TV, your stove, your fridge, your beds, and you're good to go, right? And your clothes and so on. So under the previous administration, under the NNP, and let me simplify this again, under the NNP, they distributed some of the apartments, the NNP. But the NNP considers their supporters as poor and vulnerable. And they made those apartments available to their supporters, the poor and the vulnerable. That's the NNP administration. The majority of those supporters, they were unemployed. They had no income. But these apartments were low-income apartments constructed for the low-income earners. All right? So you have to have an income to qualify. But under the NNP administration, they didn't care whether you had an income or not. You supporting us, we give you an apartment. Go up there, take this apartment, take that apartment. And you would pay 30,000, 40,000. The question is, where would they get the money if they don't have an income? So they put these people into a debt trap. As a result, they couldn't meet their commitments with housing authority. They couldn't pay the amount of money they agreed to pay on a monthly basis. So they became delinquent, racking up some $4.9 million in outstanding payments. Housing authority is tasked with the responsibility to maintain the facilities, maintain the yard, maintain the buildings, and so on. But they need money to do that. So they were paying, or they signed an agreement, a contract with the housing authority to pay, in some instances, $250 a month, $300 a month, $400 a month. That is what they did under the NNP. But the NNP called these people poor and vulnerable. What you expect would happen? Eventually they would say, okay, I am considered poor and vulnerable. I can't pay. I don't have the money. I don't have an income. And most of the NNP supporters, they boldface. They boldface. So this time around, phase 2, they're about to distribute those houses, all right, or apartments. And all they're saying is, you're not going to trick us again. Go to a financial institution, take out your little loan, come and buy the apartment for $55,000 and $73,000. And you are required to pay the banks or financial institution pretty much the same amount that the folks in Dabo, Sobeys, and Frequency had to pay housing, and they did not pay. But once you have to pay the bank, they're going to make sure and find the money to pay the bank, because they have mechanism in place if you don't pay to make sure that you're held accountable. But housing authority, government, the people refuse to pay, and those who are there refuse to even touch the whole thing. So they created this mess, and they expect NDC to clean it up. But they expect NDC to just continue the same way that they were continuing it. And I gave you a marker for who is considered to be poor in the country, who is collecting poor relief assistance. I gave you a little marker, and I break it down for you. So folks, I am simply saying, this is a good deal. This is a good opportunity for Grenadians to own something, own a home, own a piece of this place. It's a really good deal. The one-bedroom apartment, actual cost is about $141,000 or so dollars. And thanks, my good friend, for providing me with that. But they're selling it for you for $55,000. The actual cost of the two-bedroom is about $205 or $204, right? 200,000. 200,000. It's a little above 200,000. The one bedroom was just a little above 141,000. The actual cost, 204,000. And they're selling it for you for $73,000. That's a massive deal. You can't go wrong with that. Take advantage of it. Take full advantage of it. All right? Nice. So let me at this point play a little promo here for the Florida chapter of the NDC. And I also have some information for, and that's the gala for Florida, right? The gala in Florida on the weekend. And then you have the gala in the United Kingdom. I got some information on that to provide to you.
As the NDC Florida chapter celebrates its first anniversary on October 14th, I invite you, Grenadians, and friends of Grenada in Florida to come join us at a grand anniversary gala at the elegant Floridian Ballrooms in Pembroke Pines, South Florida. I will be there as a special guest of honor and will be pleased to meet, greet, and update all of you on what we are doing in government at home. Contributions to the gala are $200, and it promises to be a memorable event. So get your tickets today, online at gotofet.com or from any member of the National Democratic Congress Florida chapter. Proceeds from the gala will go towards the construction of the party's resource center to the benefit of all Grenadians. So remember, October 14th, NDC Florida chapter inaugural gala in Pembroke Pines, Florida. Don't miss it.
Right, so that's the Florida Gala. So you're encouraged to buy up your tickets and be a part of that. And it's really towards getting that resource center, getting that headquarters of the party. You have to get somewhere to call home. And the reason why the NNP is so angry and pissed with the successes of the NDC with those events in the diaspora and so on is because the NNP don't really have a place to call home. And they've been out here for all these years. They don't have a place to call home. So the UK, and I suppose over time they would send me a ad video or audio as the UK chapter of the NDC. So our beloved Prime Minister will be in Florida for that gala, and he will also be in the UK for that gala on Saturday, the 4th November 2023, from 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. All right, at the ILEC Conference Center, 47 Lily Road, Fulham, London, SW, right? I want to believe is Southwest 61 UD, right? 5 minutes walk from West Brompton on the District Lane. Great. And they have where you can actually go online and get the tickets and so on. I'll provide that to you online. You can book your tickets and organize for that gala event. All right. Very nice. Very, very nice. So far, all the galas have been very, very successful. All. Tut bagay. The NNP is unhappy with that because they cannot organize events like what the NDC is organizing, the different chapters are organizing. So they blew, they vex, they angry, they pissed. But you have to deal with the reality, right? The NNP is a dying breed. The women's arm of the NDC, they're having an October extravaganza, a day you will never forget. Saturday, October the 28th, delicious cuisine, music, meet and greet, endless fun, food, drinks on sale, health check, cultural performance, vending booths available for rent or rental, business exhibits, games, Bouncing Castle venue, Montrouge playing field, South St. George. All right. So that's on Saturday, the 28th of October. And you can call them up. Let me see the number. Two numbers. 449-5872, 419-5177. So the women's arm, they're doing big things there. Beach Bump Bar and Double Six Club, Domino Night Camp, right? Domino Night Camp, Sunday the 15th of October, from 5 p.m. Special prize for the team that give the most love. Registration fee $20 per player. Sunday at Beach Bump Bar. Grill vendors. Nah, I think they want to put a Grandans vendors market, right? The vendors market in Grandans. Get registered under the 66 Club of Grenada. So that's Ashton, my good partner, and TC and the guys down there. All right. So go there and support. Nice. All right. So I gone already. Kayak. The fundraiser on the 19th, October the 19th, Carriacou. NDC Carriacou fundraiser. They will be at Paradise Beach on October the 19th from 12 p.m. Go there and support them. Solid bar, a lot of foods on sale. Please go there and support them. Folks, we're out of time. I want to wish you all the best. Have a wonderful day. I'll be back tonight in the Hub.